That's the one if you and Dave and I can get together after this. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our special council meeting for the budget. This is our third meeting and we're proceeding to get closer to where we want to get to. I'm sure we'll move along fine today and hopefully we'll be finished. That's the goal, if we can do it. I apologize, we're a little bit late. I was tied up with something else. And so we're going to start the meeting at 9:37 a.m. I will tell you that all members of council are present, as well as the municipal clerk. And the territorial landing acknowledgement, we respectively acknowledge the township of Allen-McCullum is located on the Mississauga-Neshonomek territory and is our traditional territory of the Mississauga-Neshonomek. The township of Allen-McCullum respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain their responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Mover for the approval of the agenda is that the notice provisions of the procedural bylaw be waived to permit the inclusion on the agenda of an additional recommendation relating to the 2026 budget, and that the budget for the special council meeting held on February 11th, 2026 be approved as amended. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Seeing none, that'll be duly noted. Our first presentation is going to be by CAO David Dawson, and to give us a better understanding of property taxes. And I'm going to let Dave go ahead and start, but there could be some questions from council, so we'll let you start and then we'll open up the questions after you're finished your presentation.
Great, thank you, Mayor Logo. I'll move on with the presentation. I'll just note too that our interim treasurer, Aaron, will assist me with a couple of the answers with respect to the Excel file that we've shown here. So understanding property taxes, how municipalities calculate property tax. There's a couple of very important pieces of legislation that municipalities need to pay attention to. One being the Ontario Regulation 7303 tax matters, special tax rates and limits. The other is the Provincial Land Tax Act. And there's another one that gets looked at periodically, and that's with respect to how land assessment is conducted within the province. Factors affecting your property tax rates. So property tax rate is based on many different factors, such as the class of property you own, the municipality that you live in, the services that you receive, MPAC's assessment on your property, MPAC's assessment on the municipality, and the municipality's calculated tax rate. Looking at slide 3, how the tax rate is set. The tax rate is extremely important. So the budget requirement is the tax levy. The tax levy is agreed upon by council and set by council. The property assessments returned by the Municipal Property Tax Assessment Corporation, MPAC, the calculation of the net weighted assessment for the municipality, and the tax rate is calculated by dividing the tax levy requirement by the net weighted property tax assessment. If you look at slide 4, I believe, which is an example. These numbers aren't totally correct. This is just an example that we used around the beginning of January. And so what ends up happening is that you take the net levy for the municipality, which is highlighted in blue, the numbers are in red. You divide that into the net weighted assessment. The net weighted assessment is calculated from the MPAC's assessment of the municipality, all of the properties in the municipality, and are put into this calculation. They're highlighted in blue in the first column under the 2026 return. Then you have to go through the trans ratios, the discount rate to get your weighted assessment. When you divide the net levy of the municipality into the weighted assessment, you end up with a tax rate. And under the legislative requirement, that tax rate has to be multiplied by either hundreds or 1000s. And then that gives you your tax dollars based on the weighted assessment for residential assessment. It also does the assessment, as you can see under the column that says weighted assessment. Then you have your tax rates, and it's setting different tax rates for the different types of properties that are identified within the municipality. You then take that calculation and you compare it to the 2025 taxes based on the tax rate that was used, and you get your increase or decrease, and then it gives you a percentage. And that's the percentage that you look at with respect to the increase or decrease of property taxes. It is not, and for clarity, it is not the comparator of one levy to the next levy from a previous year to calculate your percentage increase. That is not how property taxes are calculated. In the bottom line, when we have with the county and school board, that gives you what you call the overall tax increase. So it is giving and mixing in everything to do with the county tax increase, the education, plus the municipal increase, and then gives you a weighted percentage increase at the end of that calculation. In and with respect to our contract with MNP, MNP was contracted by the municipality to approval of council to review our finance department. And we have gone through that. And part of that, as Councillor O'Neill has mentioned, was some interim treasurer assistance. So we engaged with them to understand our taxes and to understand that the calculation of taxes for the residents to ensure that we were conducting our business appropriately. That's just one aspect of the treasurer's assistance that's provided to the municipality through the contract. We are meeting with MNP to finalize that and to engage in further assistance so that we can ensure that our contract is fulfilled. After meeting with them to vet our tax calculation component, they were able to reply. In that reply, and I read here to council and the residents of the township, we ran the methodology by our team, and based on the information provided, the feedback was that the calculation approach appears appropriate and consistent with standard municipal taxation practices. Specifically, using the required levy divided by weighted assessment to establish a tax rate, applying the tax rate to the impact assessed value to determine the tax amount, and calculating the year-over-year percentage change as you outlined are all conceptually sound. Overall, the approach you are using looks reasonable. That's directly from MNP. So we have also vetted this through another municipality treasurer to ensure that we are calculating the tax rate to the best of our ability through transparency and through accountability. And we confirmed to council and the residents of the township that we are calculating the tax rate appropriately. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
This is the education portion for next year. Is it frozen again?
It was frozen for 2026. We won't know for 2027.
Sorry, it was frozen for 2025. It's also
It
frozen.
was frozen again for 2026. So that
1 second. So, Mayor Lobo, for clarity, Councillor, what specifically are you referring to? Is that an education tax rate, a tax percentage, or a tax? Just so that we have clarity for everybody listening.
Whether or not there's an increase to the education tax amount that our residents are paying this year over last year.
So the education tax amount, so you're referring to the tax rate that's identified under education, that then the thousands of dollars are calculated by? I just want to be sure. Because the education tax amount and where we have gotten into some misunderstanding with respect to our tax calculations is the language that we're using. So I just want to be clear that what you're referring to is the education tax amount with respect to the education tax rate that our calculations are being calculated by. That's what you're referring to. So
Am I going to pay more for education this year than I paid for education last year?
perfect. I'll pass that there.
So as Dave had stated, the tax rate for education did not change. However, depending on assessments and the other rates combined, it's a combination. So you necessarily won't pay any more per education, but if your assessment changed, then yes, possibly you can.
Okay, so I just make a note that, you know, municipalities now don't have any direct involvement with school boards. That's all provincial, but year over year, non-funding of schools is going to start to have impacts on what is provided in our community to our families. The other is that it is good to have the mill rate information and how it's calculated and how it's used. I trust that before we pass our budget, we're going to be absolutely clear what that number is, because I'm seeing different numbers in different spaces and it's changed over the course of the budget. So I think that we need to know 100% what that number is.
Thank you, and I'm sure we will get to that eventually. Anybody else have any other questions first?
Mayor Lovell,
Yes.
if I may just add on to what Councillor Neal has brought forward. So if we were to look at the last slide that I've provided, and under the last slide, it says county and then it says education. Under education, which is ED, highlighted in blue, it says 0.00153. That's a tax rate calculated through a formula to get there. With respect to a resident paying more, it is weighted on the impact assessment. So as an example, if a said resident does an addition to their home and has a building permit, should have a building permit. Once the building permit has been signed off, the way the circle works is that building permit then gets forwarded to MPACT. MPACT then does a reevaluation on the assessment of your home. And they will award whatever that assessment is based on their formulas and calculations in the province. Then in that case, if your MPACT assessment of your resident increases, then yes, you would be paying more for education, you would be paying more for county, and you would be paying more to the township. And that is the way it works. So in a lot of cases, we have evaluations on properties that, let's say the market price is $850,000. The weighted assessment or the assessment from MPACT might only be about 400. So you're paying taxes on the assessment of MPACT, not the market value of your home. So I just wanted to be clear on that for everybody that's listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, can you make it a little bit simpler for me? Because I don't understand the weighted assessment portion.
Sure. If you back up one slide, Mayor Lovell.
Yep.
You look at what is the weighted assessment. And when we're given all of the numbers from MPACT to input into what our total assessment is, it's broken down into residential, R1, multi-residential, farmland, commercial, different types of commercial, different types of industrial, and so on. And we get that breakdown from MPACT. We don't create that ourselves. Then you have to go through a trans ratio, okay? Trans ratio, Aaron can explain. Do we get that from?
Trans ratios are set mainly by MPACT. So your ratio for residential is 1:1. When you look at commercial, they set the rate of 1.5. You will see a highlighted area there for multiple residential, and you'll see that it is 1.2. That actually started out higher, and as a county decision across the board, it was to decrease that every year to get it back down to 1 as it's a residential rate. So every year that trans ratio has been changing from 1.6 to 1.4. Now it's down to 1.2. Hopefully by next year, by decisions through the county, will be back down to 1. And then you have your industrial that is set at 2.1. Then you go through and you have your managed forest, your pipeline, your aggregate, which is again all set. And that's where those trans ratios come from.
Thank you, and I'll just confer that we started out with two for the residential, separate, special residential or whatever that's under, but we did start at two and we've been taking off 20% each year for the last 4 years, and if we continue on, it'll be the 5th year, and we'll be complete. So all residents, whether they're in apartment buildings or not, will pay exactly the same rate. I think you've answered my question. I thank you very much. Mary Catherine?
I'm just going to note that the county is complying with a provincial directive to reduce that to 1.
Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, just a quick question. With the impact assessments, if, say I get assessed in June, does the different start in June or does it wait for the following year?
So that again is a depends question. Depending when the building permit goes through the impact assessment, right now impact's at a freeze, so we don't actually see any supplementals until the final has gone out. And that's where I had spoken to Councillor O'Neill about some extra revenues that you see in our summary line, where it's, I believe, 296,000, and that's a combined of a guesstimate of what we could see from supplementals. So they aren't considered in this tax assessment, but we ensure that we know that we have building permits that have gone through last year that we are still waiting to see the assessment value for. So we do a calculation to know that we may get some more revenue this year. They can go back a couple of years until you've actually, for a house, had occupancy. So we always tell residents, if they're building a new house, be prepared that they may still get their tax bills, but it could be based still on their assessment value of just property, and be prepared to have a supplemental further down the line, so.
I think, to you, Mayor Lobo, Councilor Ainsworth, it's important to note that township staff or the township isn't in charge of that. What we're in charge of is a building permit. It is up to impact, and I know that they do try to do it as current as possible, but that also speaks to the ever importance, and if we go back a couple of years, the ever importance of having your building permits closed off in a building department, because that is what triggers that new assessment. And when they're not closed off or they're delayed for whatever reason, it results in a delay of taxes for the township.
And we've had some complaints before too, of people thinking that the building permit had been put through and everything else, and it hadn't been. And then all of a sudden they got hit with this big catch up. I don't know how big that was, but it was definitely caught up. Go ahead, Mike. Follow up?
Yes. So the question that Councillor O'Neill asked, so if the rate is set today, will that change? I think that's what she was asking about, if it changes with the assessment through the school. So if your assessment changes on your house, does that go through the school part of it too?
Yes.
Okay, so it could change.
Yeah, but for clarity, based on the information that I've seen, that we're given this information once a year ahead of when we do prepare for our budget process with the township.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it come in, and Aaron can correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen it come in midterm. It's always for the following year. And that's also how they're able to calculate and give us the growth number. And so it just revolves year after year, like a fiscal year would in normal business.
So depending on development, it's just gonna be a revolving number.
It's revolving all the time. It's no different than our budgets are revolving all the time. If you look at one of the things that we focus on as an example with this budget process is really the expense side of things. But at no point during the budget process is actually the overages or the unders from the previous year inputted into the budget conversation. That's brought later by your auditor. And so it is definitely a very slow process. And so what you're talking about with respect to impact identifies on an annual increase and adjustment of numbers. It's a slow process.
Catherine?
Just a little clarity, our interim treasurer, she just referred to my question and the 296,000. It is from page 39 of our, agenda package. So that chart that sort of gives the overview, and at the bottom it says other, and that is one of the things that's included in other then on page 39 of our agenda package. And for our residents, MPAC, their last assessments were back in 2016. Our council, like many councils across the province, have sent in that we would like to see MPAC update their assessments. So hopefully that happens, because this is very confusing when we're still referencing house value assessments from 2016.
And I'd like to make a little further comment. It was supposed to be done, I believe it's every five years or 6 years. I believe it is 5 though. And the last time that was supposed to be done was during COVID, and it got postponed, and it still hasn't been brought brought up to date. And as Councillor O'Neill says, we have asked several times, and most municipalities are asking for the same thing, but it hasn't been done yet. And that's the decision of the province. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Make a comment. Many years ago, when I received my tax bill, they decided for whatever reason that year to include this information. And, you know, for us math brain people, getting the information on the mill rate in there is interesting and helpful.
And it's, as Dave has told me, it's very complicated and yet very simple. And I think that's probably true for everything. If you know what you're doing, it's very simple. But it can be complicated for us, like myself anyways. Okay. Any other questions or comments from council regarding presentation? Dave, thank you. Aaron, thank you very much. Appreciate your help. You'll be probably coming back later on, okay? Next, we have a request for a reconsideration of PRF. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I want to get through. We need a mover and a seconder to approve the presentation.
Receive for information.
Yep. That the presentation understanding property taxes be received for information. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have a request for reconsideration of a PRF Customer Service Representative 2026 Parks and Recreation Budget. I've been approached by a member of council to say that there's some concerns about procedures and are we following procedures properly? And I've asked our clerk to make a comment on that. Well, please go ahead. Clerk. Clerk Lynch.
So through Mr. Mayor, thank you first of all to Councillor Booth for bringing it to our attention that the motion to reconsider at this point is outside the timeline, so it wouldn't be in order at this point in time. There are some other options available to council should you still wish to proceed to hear this report. Staff have gone back to the table, as was mentioned in the report. I won't get into that at this point in time, but it is something that staff felt strongly enough that they wanted to bring it back to council's attention. With that, it is entirely up to council as to how you would like to proceed with this. So the motion was originally decided on the CSR position. So while a reconsideration, it boils down to a technicality of language used, the intent could still be the same. The council does have the option to suspend the rules of the procedure bylaw to allow the report to come back at this time. It would require a majority of vote to do that. If that motion to suspend is approved by the majority of council, then the report could come forward for council to hear it. If that motion to suspend the rules fails, then at this point, we would just move on to the next item in the agenda, which would be the budget as a whole. If you decide to proceed as a group to allow the report to come forward, council does have the ability to use a motion to amend something previously adopted within their procedural toolbox as well through Robert's Rules of Order. That would require a majority vote. And again, the intention of the report would be to have that the Parks and Rec budget could be, as previously approved, could be amended to include the revised CSR position for 19 months. So I put that out there for council's consideration. Again, thank you to Councillor Booth. The motion to reconsider at this point is not, would not be in order. So that's an oversight on my behalf when I was reviewing the agenda. So I do apologize for that. But again, thank you for bringing it forward. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So to make a long story short, we can do one of two things. We can amend the previously adopted and bring it back for P and R budget amendment, and that would include revising the CR position for 19 months. And so we need to vote to see if we want to bring that back, first of all. And then also we can also suspend the rules to allow it to come back before with because of new information. Clear as mud? Councillor Booth.
Just clarification on what the clerk said. The motion to suspend notice requirements is actually a vote of 2/3 of members present, not a majority. Thank you. On 13.12.
What page is that?
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you, Councillor Booth. 13.12 is a motion to suspend notice requirements. We've already provided notice of this report and the intent. That's just referring to the notice requirements, which is what we did earlier to get that second addendum added. The addendum that was added last night. With Robert's rules, it is a. Oh, no. So the motion to amend is under section 8.8 of the procedure. The motion to suspend the rules is 8.8. Except as specifically noted to the contrary, any procedure required by this bylaw may be temporarily suspended with the consent of a majority vote of the members present.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Madam Clerk. So we have we have some opportunities here. What do you want to do?
Mayor Little, through the ever turning points here. So as I'm getting it straight in my mind, first step is to suspend the rules and move forward with a motion to, what would be the rest of that?
Can you help us?
Yes. So through Mr. Mayor, the first step is to get a motion to suspend the rules of procedure to permit the revised customer service position to come back for council consideration. So that would be your first step. If the rules are suspended, then that gives council permission by a majority vote. That gives council then permission to hear the report and to have any further discussion on that position. If that motion to suspend fails, then we do not discuss the report and we just move on to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you.
It's clear.
Thank you. Counselor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor. Well, how was the vote defeated the first time? Was it a majority or was it a tie?
That was amended, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
It was amended.
It was unanimous, the four council members that were here all voted in favor to remove it. And actually, there was four, because it was amended a few times. If you look back at the meeting, it was amended a few times. And the final one was to approve it, so it was voted by all four.
To approve.
Yeah.
Thank you. Counselor Ainsworth.
I wonder if it was, had some recommendations with it.
Yeah, we're getting off track.
Well, I think it's important to find out exactly how it went down, depending on how we're gonna bring it back.
Yeah, we need to bring it, do you understand what we have to do? What do you want to do?
Well, I guess I guess what I'm saying is that it's the procedure that we're trying to do right now appropriate to how it was turned down the last time.
Yes,
Yes? Okay.
Deputy Mayor.
I would make that motion to suspend to allow this to come forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder. White,
No, that's it,
your
yeah.
second comments? Counselor Booth.
Through your worship, I find it, we're in a unique situation that because staff wants to bring back this report and they can't do it properly with the bylaws that we have, that now we're going to suspend the rules, which are bylaws that have laid out, and these are the rules that we play by. And now council is deciding that they want to discard those rules so that this can come forward. I will not be voting in favor of that. Thank you.
Counselor O'Neill.
This is the second meeting in a row where the losing side is attempting to bring back a decision of council. We have to accept our own decisions.
Thank you. We also can suspend.
I understand that. I just don't think it is wise, and I will not be supporting it.
Good. Counselor Ainsworth.
I think it's important to understand with this report is that the position that staff is in and the position that we're in as the township.
Are we going to suspend the rules or not?
Well, I think we're gonna, you wanna debate or.
What we have to do,
Are
suspend.
you allowed to debate whether we suspend the rules? Or not? It's either yes or no.
You can debate the suspension of rules.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we have issues where we have one person 2 days on one job and 3 days on that other job. And the 2 days job is booking the facility. So we got 3 days that we haven't got anybody there.
That has not.
Are we, you're arguing,
No, I'm trying to say the reason why this came back and the importance of it coming back.
okay,
It's not just for a difference in the tax rate, whether it's a 20% or whatever it is. It's how the township's going to run without it. Who's going to do that job? I know the arena's gonna be down for maybe.
Point of
Point
order.
of order.
point of order, you're
Okay.
off subject. We need to discuss only whether we want to change the, rules or not. That's
Okay.
what we're debating. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Logal, and through you, Mayor Logal. My reason on, moving this first place was that, I don't believe that all the information, that there was new information brought forward. And, one of the key components, and I did spend time watching the, budget meeting after on YouTube. And, one of the things that stood out in my mind and why I thought it important that, the manager has said in here that, he will not be able to, fulfill any of this, document or any of this.
Getting way off.
Okay, that would be my reason. Thank you.
Other comments? I haven't commented yet. It would be interesting to hear what is being presented. And we can do that if you like. However, I'm going to vote against it because I don't think we can afford to spend that money now. So, okay. All right. Councillor Booth.
Just to request a recorded vote, please, on this. Thank you.
Okay. Judge Jeff, please issue or lead us through a recorded vote, please.
Mayor Lobo,
Yes.
if I may, and apologize for the delay. This is not to discuss it. It is the first step. Is that correct?
Yes.
Whether we allow the suspension or we don't. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we've had a recorded vote requested by Councillor Booth. Starting with Councillor Booth, I'll then proceed alphabetically by members of council's last name. When I say your name, please answer yea or nay as to how you would like to vote on regards to the following motion. That the rules of procedure be suspended to permit the revised Parks Rec and Facility Customer Service Representative Report from staff to be heard by council. Councillor Booth.
No.
Councillor Ainsworth.
Yes.
Councillor O'Neill.
No.
Deputy Mayor Stover.
Yes.
Mayor Lobo.
No.
The motion is defeated. The rules are not suspended. We will move on to the next item on the agenda.
We don't have to. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the 2026 draft budget. And Aaron, you're going to lead us through this, please.
So following yesterday's council meeting, staff went back and reviewed the draft 2026 budget to see if there was any additional savings could be achieved. During this review, it was noted that there was a spreadsheet error that affected the overall levy calculation, bringing forward calculation from 2025 to 2026. Working with council's direction and intent from the departmental budget approvals made on January 14th and 28th, staff were able to adjust the budget amounts for wages and benefits of the administrative and public works department budgets to keep council's intended levy increase of 5.09, 408 after growth as presented on page 20 of the budget package. For streamline and ease of communication, as discussed during the January 28th meeting, this levy impact also incorporated the 2% infrastructure levy amount. Changes made to the administrative and public works department included reduction in the treasurer's budget, wage and benefits from 12 months to about 9 months due to an anticipated start date. A reduction in HR payroll support contract position budget wages due to position being filled part-time instead of full-time, and a reduction in the public works new operator wages and benefits from 12 months to approximately 9 months due to an anticipated start date. Due to these changes, staff are recommending that council amend the administrative and public works department budget using a motion to amend something previously adopted. It is recommended that council and the corporation of the Township of Alma-Haldimand enact the following: that the previously approved administrative and public works department budgets be amended to include the following: a decrease in administrative department wages by 108,684, and a decrease in the Public Works Department wages by 38,672. Can I get a motion for that, Mayor?
Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconder. Second by Councillor Ainsworth. Questions? Councillor O'Neill.
I do appreciate that you provided the wording for that to council last evening, so I have had an opportunity to look at that. It does assuage some of my, wait a minute, this line just isn't making sense. It makes quite a bit more sense with those numbers.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, just, so could you clarify for me with these changes, what does it mean is the levy now sitting at?
The exact same. So with these changes, because of the calculation error, it would bring it back to the 5.09 overall with the 2% infrastructure levy.
So we're, without the infrastructure levy, we're at 3.19? Is that what you're saying?
4.0 after growth and 3.07.
Okay, and 5.09 with the 2%.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
$5.09.
That is correct. The 5.09 that was previously approved.
Thank you. Questions? Yeah.
I found it, I'm not sure what the right word is, but that the levy being pulled out instead of it being considered an ongoing expense has troubled me. We didn't pull out, for example, in our first year when we directed money into the reserves for the fire equipment, that was seen to be an ongoing commitment to maintaining our fire equipment assets. We made a similar commitment to making sure money went into the public works equipment the following year. And when this council made that decision last year to start this infrastructure levy, which will primarily go, but not exclusively go to public works, but it is the one that has the greatest demand. I had anticipated that that was going to be an ongoing incorporated number, that wasn't going to be brought back as if this was something new, that it, just like the commitment to the fire equipment, just like the commitment to the public works equipment, that this would be an ongoing part of our budgeting. That would be there, and that would be a predictable budget line for every future council. And if we look at our asset management plan, when I initially read it, I thought, oh, well, we've got last year's 2%, and we're putting another 2% this year. We're now going to be at a 4% levy. We are starting to get somewhere in the neighborhood of what we need.
I don't know what you mean by a 4% levy.
If we had and maintained and carried forward the 2% from last year, said that was an ongoing expense or an ongoing commitment to infrastructure.
But that's, you're not saying 4% for this year. You're just
No,
saying
and then I'm saying that if we put another 2%,
yes,
we would be getting, because I believe the number it recommended by the asset management plan was 10%. So.
well, I go ahead.
I can speak to that. The reason that we didn't bring forth the tax infrastructure levy amount is because it is based off of the tax levy, and until the tax levy is set, that number is revolving, because if we have 8 million, it's 2% of 8 million. If we need 9 million, it's 2% of 9 million. So that number is always revolving because of how the 2% was set. So that's why it was left open until the end, where we were getting close to where we knew our tax levy would be, to be able to formulate the infrastructure tax levy of the 2%, because it's an evolving, changing number.
And I'd like to make a comment before I forget. The Northumberland County, they started their levy infrastructure several years ago. They started off at 1%, and then it's supposed to be 1.5% for next year, and then 2%, then 2.5%, then 3%, and I don't know how far it goes on, but basically that's what it was set up. It was to help pay for the Campbellford Bridge and that type of stuff. And we've been doing that, but this year we had to suspend that for 2026 because there was just, we decided not to put anything in there. And I think it's a great idea to continue to do that, but I don't think we can hold other councils accountable for their future councils to say that we're going to always put in 2%. It's a great goal, and I think we should do our best to do it, but we can't guarantee that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that just shows the challenges any council at any level has to do in making their budgets work. That's an interesting observation because you're right, the county has laid it out as a sort of a separate piece. And, quite frankly, I think that could be a good thing for us to do and not be treating that levy differently than the ones we did earlier for the equipment. And saying all of this is sort of the same kinds of things. This is our goal. This is what we're aiming for. This is what we hope our managers are going to be incorporating. Anyway, I think there's some room for us to clarify this moving forward because it is a little bit.
Go ahead, Dave.
Through your mayor, I think the councillor, sorry.
I was just gonna say I got Councilor.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Go ahead, Dave.
I think that Councillor Neal brings up a very interesting point. And yes, we have done these types of things with respect to department, and the managers that we have implemented these types of plans and have come to council for approval to do so. I do believe that the infrastructure plans are subject to change based on council change. And I do believe that our equipment procurement plans are subject to change based on the managers and what information they bring forward and present to council for approval. So it was an ask of council with respect to this infrastructure levy. And so it has been included. That is the delivery. And it is possible that our public works manager may come and want to change their their equipment procurement plan. So it's nice and it's a healthy conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And Councilor O'Neill mentioned that you probably will go to Public Works, but that doesn't mean it has to go to Public Works. It's a decision at that time. Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through you, your worship. So just for clarification, it sounds like instead of us in the future councils, instead of saying a 2% levy, they should actually pick a number figure to say $200,000 a year, because then if we were to say $200,000 a year will go towards infrastructure, then that becomes the same as the fire and the public works, and that it's in the budget, and that means council could change it, but it's not relying on the tax levy.
Go ahead.
I'd like to answer Councilor Booth directly. You would make our lives much easier if you did that. And I'll give a quick explanation. Because before we can calculate the 2% infrastructure tax levy that council's asked for, we have to first establish the levy. Then we have to take the levy, times that by 2%, then add that back into the levy to then create what is the tax rate, to then do the comparator to see what it was, the difference from the previous year. If you set it at 200,000 or a dollar value, you would save us that entire calculation and would make it far more easy.
And less
in the future.
And less chance of more errors and adding in, et cetera, et cetera.
100%.
Thank you.
Well, and I agree with you. It just makes it that it's in the budget, and then that would never come up again. And I only picked 200,000 because I believe 2% is probably 180 or something, whatever it is. But I would strongly suggest that for the next council, and maybe as a treasurer to bring that up to say, instead of looking at a 2% levy, And like you said, with all the headache that it comes with you calculating all of that, it's just put whatever it is in there. And as you said, Mr. Mayor, they could decide still, council, to say we can't afford it that year, but once you pay for it the first year, that's it. It's in there forever, right? Unless you take it out. Okay, thank you.
And I guess the only comment I would make to the two of you is it's 200,000 picking on, would you pick 180?
Well, I think 2%, I think we were like 80,000 is usually 1%, so.
Yeah. All I would encourage future councils to make sure that keeps going up a little bit each year, so it doesn't stay at 180 or whatever that was. Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
I concur, but I don't think that's what we're debating, but, moving forward on how that levy is, to look at what the county is doing, but certainly make it a part of the discussion on our asset management plan.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any comments?
Just, thank you, Mayor Logo. However, through you, Mayor Logo, however we can assist to make this process better. And that sounds like that would be, a big one to put forward for next year. I would just like to thank everybody for all the hard work that they've done in getting us to where we are today. Thank you.
Other comments?
Are we just doing general comments on the budget? Is that what you're looking for? Sorry, I've lost. What are we commenting on?
The motion, which I haven't read yet.
You go first.
Did I?
Well, no, you didn't read it. So sorry, the motion that's on the floor currently is that the previously approved 2026 Administrative and Public Works Department budgets be amended to include the following changes. Decrease in administrative department wages by $108,684 and a decrease in Public Works Department wages by $38,672. I have that moved by Councillor O'Neill and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth.
Further discussions? All in favor? Motion's carried. Unanimously. And I would like to comment, before we move on, all the hard work that Aaron has put into this, and as well as the managers that provide that support, and Dave for keeping us under control and making sure that we understand what we're doing. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do that for us today. I think council learned a little bit, probably some of us more than others, and the residents will understand that a lot. So thank you. Next on the list is confirmatory bylaw 20.
That's not where we're, or the budget.
Oh. That wasn't a recommendation only too. I'll just, there's two different recommendations.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah,
Non-written. Yeah.
The budget is approved.
Okay, and yes. That the 2026 draft budget for the township of Alma-Calderman be approved as amended. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth. Seconder. No seconder?
So,
Can you second it first?
yes,
Do you have any questions?
well, I thought I was following along, but are you reading,
I'm reading, from the top half of the sheet where it says or, following that.
okay,
Oh, wait a minute.
I thought you were doing the top one.
I did do the top one. Pardon me, I did do the top one.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Because the other one's
Yeah.
already been defeated.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, the motion here would be that the 2026 draft budget for the Township of Alma-Calderman be approved. It should actually read as amended, since you just made that amendment, by reducing the two wages that the treasurer just spoke to.
Okay.
Any questions?
Need a second.
You seconded it.
Yes, thank you.
Any questions?
No, but I'd like to make a motion to defer at this point.
Okay. Seconder?
Oh, it would be good if they knew what they were seconding, so I'll read my proposed motion. I move that the passing of the budget be deferred so that we can get clarity on the tax increase for 2026, given that we've had some changes in numbers. Further, that we can get the information from the administrative update on the condition of our assets, which will inform our asset management plan. How we are addressing the items identified as critical in the roads needs study and the Olson report and the 4 roads management service report. The report from MNP, the actuals from 2025, and updates on the BERs from 2025, and status updates for the municipal office, the Grafton traffic study, and the Watton projects.
You get a seconder?
I'll pass that over.
Yep, so there's been a motion to defer the budget to a later time. Don't know when that would be, but. Any comments to defer? Go ahead, Councilor Inge.
Through you, Mayor. I'm wondering if some of those items that are listed on the motion,
We're not gonna discuss this.
we're not going to.
No,
Defer
we're just
to accept.
defer or not defer. Comments? Anybody else have any comments? I've got it moving second. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Can I ask for a recorded vote on this, please?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Can be.
absolutely. Anybody feel they couldn't debate it? We just weren't gonna talk about the specifics. But we can debate the motion itself to defer or not to defer.
The reasons why it would be one or the other.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
comments? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through your worship, I would like to go to the person that, that is making the motion so that we can hear the reasons why for the defer. I know it would be good.
I included in there the information that, I actually printed another copy, but, there is information that I feel that I don't have as a counselor at this point that should be informing our budget. Everything that's listed on there are things that as a council we've said we want to see happen. And they're not all addressed in this budget that's in front of us today.
Any other comments? Go ahead.
Also, I think I've heard firmly that the tax increase is 5.09, but I'm looking at an agenda package where there's 3 different numbers given, where we're making amendments and changing things. So I would also like to see that come back to us with all of the new numbers.
Thank you. Do you have any recommendations on how you want the budget to go? And the levy to go? Are we talking 5% more or 10% more or what are you asking for?
Sorry, I'm asking for us to look at some of these things and make sure that this budget is doing what we asked, what this council has asked to see happen. In particular, I know that, or I don't know because I haven't seen the agenda, but I've been told by staff that we are going to get that update on where the current state of our assets is. next week at the committee of the whole. We're going to get that report from MNP at committee of the whole. So, you know, I think it is important that we get that information, but I am very concerned and as you know, I did not support the public works budget because I am concerned that we have critical infrastructure issues that we have not talked about.
Thank you. Other comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Logo. If I may, Mayor Logo, could I ask Councillor Neal for clarification
Well,
And
what's your
for-
question?
and for some timelines?
Yes.
Thank you. How,
Through the chair.
thank you, Mayor Lobo. Through you, Mayor Lobo, to Councillor Neal. Do you expect then that the increase in the levy would be considerably more?
I think what we're due, I could,
That would,
Why should the matter be postponed? That's the question.
to get more information to ensure that the budget meets the direction of council.
Answer your question?
no,
Thank you.
one does, but I mean, one thing I'm hearing loud and clear is a lot of people are watching for this tax increase. And if I'm kind of reading between the lines, this tax increase could increase our taxes, our levy to our residents more than that. And I'm not prepared to do that. I'm just wondering if Councillor Neal would have a timeline that she would expect to for her delay. Would she be looking at a 3-month delay to get the information? I just kind of need to know that. The other thing is the increase. What Councillor Neal would expect or project the increase would be.
Councilor O'Neill?
The first is I think we need to be looking at allocation of budget more so than the tax rate, but how are we allocating that budget to make sure we're doing what needs to get done. In terms of the question of what that tax rate, that should have been a discussion we were having last summer as council. What is our direction? And it should have come from all of council. We did not have that discussion at that time. In terms of the delay, I certainly want the delay to include long enough that we have an opportunity to see that asset report and to understand where it is, but I would expect that we would have the meeting at the earliest convenience of our interim treasurer.
Yes.
Just a quick follow-up. And if I may, I'd like to ask Madam Clerk, what are the ramifications of delaying our budget? Are there, is there business not getting done because we have delayed, we would be delaying it?
Do you have a comment on that? Or should I pass that to CEO?
Sorry if I pass it to the wrong person.
Double sorry. Dave, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, not passing, so I guess I could comment a little bit in more detail. Staff was, I would say, challenged by council to create a budget that was somewhere around 5%. So, in meeting with all of the senior managers of every department, we went at the budget and calculated the budget based on that premise. The number started actually higher with some asks that had come in from the managers, but as the CAO and in conjunction with our interim treasurer, we cut some of those things to try to meet that demand of council, and we brought council a budget somewhere around 5%. What you're seeing within the budget is kind of the bare bones of that. Council did cut an additional 2%, and then of course we added back in the 2% infrastructure levy. So, with respect to competing factors, I agree that the asset management plan needs to be done, but it is quite a lengthy process. I think that the conclusion of the asset management plan with the update of the values being post-COVID is going to scare any council at any table because that is a significant increase. At the end of the day, there's only so many dollars to go around. Council sets direction through our strategic plan and provides direction to staff on what they would like to see accomplished. Some things can be accomplished pretty easily and pretty quickly, and other things take a fair bit of time to do that because there's a fair bit of research and understanding that needs to go into how things are done and what is the best decision for the municipality moving forward.
You have further comment?
Mr. Mayor, in addition to our CAO as well, to answer your question to the news store, delaying the budget also means that our tenders cannot be issued, new projects, new initiatives, the hiring of new staff cannot commence because it still leaves us open to council's ability to amend or to change the budget at that time. So everything goes on hold until we get budgetary approval. We can do the minimum spendings based on past practices, but it will hold up business. The major issue comes with the issuance of tenders, especially for any roadworks or any major construction. That might be time sensitive based on there's only so many contractors that can complete the work. So that is something to take into consideration as well for impacts of delaying the budget process.
Thank you.
Councilor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor, is there already reports in place for some of these items on the motion?
I would think there are. Going through them all, yes.
With staff knowing that off their top?
I think we'd have to get the right staff here. You know, one question is the roads need study and the OSUM report study and the 4 roads management service report. We're asking, my understanding is we're asking for a OSUM report. We've already had the 4 roads management service report. We are getting the MNP report shortly. I'm not sure what the actuals for 2025. They probably will be available when you contact the auditors and they can do their things. So that's probably July or August. Is that when we normally get the audit reports?
Mayor Lowe,
Yes.
if I may. So yeah, typically your actuals are always presented through your auditor in a presentation to council. It's been that way at least the last 5 years that I've been here. With respect to the hold up on some of your RFPs, et cetera, you do have the arena that's under strict timelines to even try to accomplish being open for October 1st. A delay in the process is going to stagnate that pretty significantly. The other part is with respect to clarification on items, reports, ongoing processes, there has been a good level of reach out and invitation for residents and council members to come to staff and have a meeting for better understanding and clarity. And we continue to invite people to do that. We have certainly witnessed a ton of strife in social media and a bunch of misinformation to the extent of a significant amount of bullying and harassment. And we continue to invite these people in our professional stature to meet with them and to explain the processes. That has happened with respect to Nuwatan. That has happened with respect to taxes. It has happened with respect to appropriate procedure at the council table. There has been many things that your staff have provided to the residents of Alderman Township and will continue to do so in a professional way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Legault,
Yes.
if I may, I'm prepared to, I would like to call a vote.
Thank you. We have one hand up.
I've already called for the vote.
Yeah, I know, but there was a hand up prior to that. I'd like to go ahead and speak.
CAO Dawson used the word scary for councils, and that any council that looks at the asset management plan is going to be scared. I am already scared. It is scary, and I don't think that this budget is, addressing that properly, and
Thank you. Call for vote. Oh, let's record it. Yeah, go ahead.
what was made well before. Yeah, no, read it back to us, please.
Was there a request for a recorded at some point?
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you. Okay, so through Mr. Mayor, we've had a request for a recorded vote, by Councillor O'Neill. You, it was a while ago, but we're here, by Councillor O'Neill. As I go through, starting with Councillor O'Neill, I'll call your name alphabetically. When I say your name, please answer yea or nay on how you would vote on the following motion. That the approval of the budget be deferred until council is provided with the administrative update on the condition of our assets, which will inform our asset management plan, how we are addressing the items identified as critical in the road needs study, the OSAM report, and 4 roads management services report, the report from MNP, the actuals from 2025, updates on the BERs from 2025, and status updates for the municipal offices, the Grafton traffic study, and Nawatin projects.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Neill,
Yes.
Councillor Ainsworth,
No.
Councillor Booth,
Yes.
Councillor Stover, or Deputy Mayor Stover,
No,
Mayor Lobo.
No,
The motion is defeated, 3-2.
there's another motion.
Yes, you're, yes, so you know how to, as amended, by Ainsworth.
Okay, that was moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Stover. I'll just read the resolution again. That the 2026 draft budget for the township of Elm Cullivan be approved as amended. Further comments? Go ahead.
I will not be supporting this budget. This
Okay.
budget has too many unanswered questions and there is too much confusion. There's a lack of clarity around the tax levy, mill rate, and infrastructure levy. Further, that the increase in this budget is primarily driven by increases in staffing, although the adjustment today makes that not as large as it was. Without status updates on the approved 2025 BER projects, without actuals or at least projected actuals for 2025, without updates on approved projects like the road safety in the Grafton Schools area, Nawatin, and the town hall assessment, council does not have the information needed to make adjustments where appropriate. Last year, I struggled with supporting the budget without a commitment to progress on our asset management plan. Based on the inclusion of the 2% levy for infrastructure and last January's resolution that staff would bring a report to council with the initial presentation from Infrastructure Solution and an update on current status of the asset management project, I did not vote to support, or I did vote to support the 2025 budget. But here we are a year later, and the report has still not been provided to council. The July,
Are we getting a lecture?
It sounds like you are, yes.
Yes,
or is this a campaign?
thank you.
It could be. I guess I don't know that. Can you summarize that?
Enough.
sorry, I do expect that my fellow councilors are going to show enough respect. Mayor Lobo, I do not want interruptions. I expect
Well, he's allowed to,
5 minutes.
no.
I want my
He
time.
has asked me to make a ruling. And I'm going to make a ruling. We've heard it enough. I know exactly what your position is. Does anybody have any questions on what?
I challenge your ruling. Based on what? That I'm not allowed to
Point
say
of
things
order,
that,
point of order, Mayor Noble.
There already is a point of order.
the point,
Like, done another one.
Oh, you can't, it's been chat, the chair's been chat already.
Did you have a point of order that you're specific to, Mike?
Yes, I do, Mayor. It feels like Councilor O'Neill will sit here and lecturing staff and lecturing the rest of council. Right?
Yep.
She has her opinion, right? She could sum it up in a few words instead of going on and on and on.
I tend to. If I look at the length of debate that is allowed by a member, as long as that member is respectful to members of council and staff, I have to allow 5 minutes, and I don't believe Councilor O'Neill has had 5 minutes. I'm gonna say you've had 3 minutes. So you're allowed another 2 minutes.
Mayor,
Yes.
what's the definition of a debate? I don't think Councilor O'Neill is debating.
She's not debating, she could be debating, but she's allowed the opportunities to speak on a motion for up to 5 minutes. After which the chair or a member may call for the vote, and every member shall immediately occupy their seat, not transverse the room, cease and desist, discuss on the matter immediately, not speak to any other members or make any noise or disturbance. And the head of council shall take the vote. You have 2 minutes. Oh, no, if I get it. Yeah. Okay, I'm just following it all through. So Mike, you have to, first of all, briefly explain. That's all these are. Okay. So I made the ruling. Councilor O'Neill, as a member, immediately appealed the ruling of the chair. The member appealing shall state the reason for the appeal. The chair may offer in favor of upholding his or her ruling, and the members shall vote on the appeal without debate. That's what the rules say.
Or at number 8, the member appealing shall state the reasons for the appeal.
Which she did.
that was that I was allowed at that time.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm recognizing that she does have 5 minutes, and she's had 3 as an estimate. Members, so the chair may offer reasons in favor of upholding his or her ruling, and the member shall vote on the appeal without debate. So you have an opportunity to appeal my decision without debate. Right?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, so we've gone through the appeal process. Councillor O'Neill has appealed stating her reasons. You can offer your reasons. You have in fact retracted your initial. So you can vote on the appeal without debate as to whether or not the appeal will be upheld, but you've reversed your decision based on a further review. So that leaves us in a procedural quagmire.
That's a new word.
Well, we vote.
It still needs to be a vote.
You have to vote. So I've offered my correction and it still has to go to a vote. So in favor of my direction or not in favor?
So the direction is to
Let as per the procedural bylaws, she has 5 minutes to speak. And she didn't have that 5 minutes. So are you appealing my decision or not? Sorry. I guess.
We vote now, no matter what.
Yeah, it's just a matter of where you're voting on
Yeah.
for the wording.
Yeah.
So you vote because you reversed it.
Yeah, I've made my decision. I've reversed my decision based on the 5 minute rule. And you have an opportunity to turn that down or accept my decision. So there's no motion.
No, it's a bit of a unique one. Typically you wouldn't reverse yours, but you've stated the reasons as to why it should be upheld. So it's, you're voting based on the appeal, which is that Councillor O'Neill should have 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it's yes or no, it's without debate.
How do we say?
So it's just called on whether or not
Okay.
Councillor O'Neill should.
All in favor of Councillor O'Neill continuing for another 2 minutes? Opposed? Motion is carried. 2 minutes.
Mayor, I just ask for clarification before we proceed. I'm not even sure we had a motion for,
Risk doesn't call for.
no, when she was talking about the budget, was there a motion made to pass the budget and then it's open for debate? Or I know you're allowed to speak for 5 minutes when we're debating something. So just to clarify, did somebody make a motion and second it to pass the budget?
Yes.
They did? Okay, thank you.
For the motion to defer.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, before Councillor O'Neill finishes her speech,
No, she has the floor.
she does, but under the code of conduct, number 2,
Yes,
can we make sure that she follows that? Not used indecent, offensive, or insulting expressions at any time towards other members of administration, delegates, or members of the public.
if you feel that she's doing that, you call for point of order. And I'll make a decision.
Okay.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
Here we are a year later and the report has not been provided to council. The July 1st, 2025 deadline from the province has to have a completed asset management plan has been passed without the township completing its plan. The 2026 budget that isn't aligned with any asset management plan concerns me as a short-sighted budget, which will saddle future councils with large financial demands to maintain infrastructure. And it concerns me because it puts the township at risk of not receiving the $1,046,460 in OSIF funding and other provincial grant funding. Telling the magical thinking regarding the ice replacement project is concerning. Does any member of council believe that 3.7 million will be fundraised in time for work to commence in April? Yet this budget is premised on those funds being in place by the beginning of April to fund the ice replacement. In order for a project of this magnitude to proceed, there needs to be a solid financial plan. Finally, the budget needs to be a written record that is understandable 1 year out. Without notes being included, the new treasurer and new council will struggle to understand several of the line items. For example, the oral discussion included that the community center funds would be used to complete building assessments, but that is not part of the written record. For all of these reasons, I am not prepared to support this budget.
Thank you. Other comments? Yes,
I would like an apology from the members who attempted to take away my right to say something. Just because you do not like what I have to say does not mean that I do not have the right to say it.
Mike, do you have a comment?
No.
Thank you. So the motion on the floor reads that the 2026 draft budget for the Township of Alma-Calderman be approved as amended. Further comments? Councilor Booth.
Through your worship, I request a recorded vote, please.
Please go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, recorded vote's been requested by Councillor Booth. When I go through the list alphabetically, please say your name, please vote yea or nay as to how you, on the following motion. That the 2026 draft budget for the Township of Alma-Calderman be approved as amended. Councillor Booth.
Sorry, could I just get clarification, be approved as amended? So we're asking to pass the budget with the amendment that we made, right?
Correct, from earlier today.
Okay. No.
Councillor Ainsworth.
Yes.
Councillor O'Neill.
No.
Deputy Mayor Stover.
Yes.
Mayor Lobo.
Yes.
Motion is carried 3-2.
The confirming bylaw.
Sorry. For clarity, can the ICE project go forward without there being the fundraising dollars to pay for all of it? In this budget, it says that it does not move forward unless it is fully funded by fundraising. That is what this budget says, and I want there to be clarity on that.
I don't know where that's, what it says that in the budget, does it?
Mayor,
Yes.
through you, we passed a motion back a few months ago for this project. And that motion was to have staff find the finances to have the arena rebuilt. The fundraising committee would fundraise the money to pay it back. And staff has done that.
Thank you. Councilor Booth.
Through your worship, I guess the question that I understand Councillor O'Neill is saying is the budget that we passed has nowhere in there for expenses. It's talking about a donation. So I have the same question. I mean, it's showing as a donation that we're going to get, but it doesn't show actually where we're getting the money from. So that is a concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments to this comment? There's really nothing. There's no motion on the floor, nothing. So I'm going to proceed with the confirmatory bylaw, bylaw 202609, confirming bylaw. It is recognized the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Alma-Calderman act as follows. That bylaw 202609 being a bylaw to adopt the proceedings of the special council meeting held on the 11th day of February 2026 and to authorize its execution and given a first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 11th day of February 2026. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Motion to adjourn is recommended the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Alma-Calderman act as follows. That the special council meeting held on February 11th, 2026 be adjourned at 11:05 a.m. In the seconder. Moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Motion carried. I'd rather, Mary Kath,